December 11th, 2025, the biggest brewery in California just declared permanent shutdown. 238 people without work, 4 million barrels of yearly output eliminated, and your beer expenses are climbing 20% because one jurisdiction made brewing unprofitable. This isn't corporate collapse. This is governmental destruction of an entire sector through levies, restrictions, and mismanagement, and you'll finance it with every purchase. The Fairfield facility began operations in 1976. For almost 5 decades, it occupied 170 acres in Solano County, manufacturing beer for the entire western coastline, Alaska, Hawaii, and South American markets. 700,000 square feet dedicated to brewing and packaging operations. 85 delivery trucks departed daily. 60 railroad cars left weekly. This represented California's premier brewing operation. During 2024, the corporation poured $7 million into modern equipment. They enhanced assembly lines. They updated facilities. They demonstrated permanent dedication. Then 17 months afterward, they declared complete cessation. That's $7 million eliminated, 238 employees terminated by February 2026. The operation that earned Green Plant recognition in 2013 for recycling 99% of its materials finished. Nobody spends $7 million on infrastructure they intend to abandon unless circumstances drastically shift. And circumstances shifted because California rendered profitable operations impossible. Begin with taxation. California maintains America's steepest state income levy at 13.3%. The business tax stands at 8.8%. Contrast this with Texas, no state income levy, no business tax, or Florida, no state income levy, or Tennessee, no state income levy. California battles against jurisdictions charging zero while demanding double-digit cuts of everything. The Tax Foundation positions California 49th in business taxation environment. Only New Jersey performs worse. Executive surveys place California absolutely last, 50 out of 50, for taxation and regulatory frameworks. When every executive throughout America declares your jurisdiction the worst location for commerce, that's not random chance. That's governance breakdown. The regulatory chaos proves even more devastating. California operates 518 distinct agencies, committees, and councils. Every single one establishes guidelines. Every single one requires documentation. Every single one increases expenses and postponements. The California Environmental Quality Act, 44 years active, can halt projects indefinitely. Authorization takes eternally. Every choice demands attorneys, navigating an unmanageable labyrinth of conflicting mandates. Mayor Catherine Moy spoke plainly. She labeled California's commercial atmosphere a hostile dictatorship. She stated, Solano County has observed significant employers escape because a single-party supermajority functions like an autocrat. She's observing her municipality perish because Sacramento refuses to cease suffocating enterprises. The statistics validate her claims. During 2024 exclusively, California eliminated 48 breweries while merely 26 launched. That's a net reduction of 22 brewing operations in 12 months. Nationally, 501 breweries terminated compared to 434 launches. The initial occasion closures surpassed openings since 2005. The complete American brewing sector is collapsing and California leads the destruction. National beer manufacturing declined from 192 million barrels in 2015 to merely 158 million barrels in 2024. Even while population expands, beer manufacturing contracts. Breweries cannot endure California's expenses, and expenses keep accumulating. During March 2025, federal duties targeted aluminum imports at 25%. Aluminum containers constitute 75% of all packaged craft beer throughout America. That duty exclusively destroyed margins across the sector. Anheuser-Busch's earnings plummeted from $2.07 billion in Q3 2024 to $1.05 billion in Q3 2025. The Bud Light boycott eliminated another $1.4 billion in revenue. The corporation confronted a decision: remain in California and hemorrhage funds, or transfer to jurisdictions where they could genuinely function. They selected continuation. Here's where things become disastrous for buyers. The Fairfield operation manufactured 4 million barrels yearly. That's 124 million gallons of beer that must now originate elsewhere. Anheuser-Busch will transfer manufacturing to their Los Angeles operation and breweries in alternate jurisdictions. But logistics expenses, distribution network interruptions, and elevated pressure on surviving operations will increase prices instantly. Sector experts forecast beer costs could surge 15 to 20% when significant operations terminate. Some predict 3 to 8%, but even cautious projections mean you're spending considerably more. A six-pack that required $10 now demands $12. Calculate that across every transaction, every tavern, every dining establishment. That's hundreds of dollars yearly added to family expenses. The distribution network catastrophe is already apparent. Northern California wholesalers who previously received shipments from Fairfield now confront routes 2 or 3 times extended. Beer that journeyed 100 miles now travels over 400. Greater fuel expenses, additional road time, increased delay probability. Every mile adds expense. Every expense transfers to buyers. Anheuser-Busch's Los Angeles operation is now the sole brewery supplying 39 million Californians, one facility for the complete jurisdiction. When that operation reaches maximum capacity, when requirements spike, when anything malfunctions, scarcities arrive instantly. And California possesses no contingency. The human expense is overwhelming. 238 employees forfeit solid income positions with advantages. Most rejected transfer proposals to alternate jurisdictions. They selected joblessness in California over employment elsewhere. That's how severe California's living expenses have grown. These employees would prefer confronting unemployment than relocating to jurisdictions where they could genuinely afford residences. The corporation proposed transfers to the Los Angeles operation 400 miles southward. Limited individuals accepted. For employees with relatives, mortgages, children in education, relocating isn't feasible. They constructed their existences around consistent brewery income. Now they confront unemployment in an employment market already damaged by additional facility terminations. Mike Rogers labored 21 years at Fairfield. He's months away from his complete retirement. His youngest child remains in secondary education. His mortgage has years remaining. The corporation proposed Los Angeles or termination payment. Neither choice is favorable. Multiply Mike's situation by 238 families. That's the immediate human burden, but it reaches far beyond immediate employees. Another 120 truckers, wholesalers, maintenance professionals, and suppliers relied on the brewery. Include them in the unemployment figures. Community shops, dining establishments, and service vendors forfeit hundreds of consistent patrons. The cascade impact devastates the complete neighborhood. The farming sector confronts catastrophe. For 50 years, the Fairfield operation generated enormous quantities of spent grain as waste material. Trucks transported this protein-rich feed supply to Central Valley dairy operations every morning. It's the most affordable, most productive method to maintain dairy cattle productive. When the brewery terminates, that feed supply disappears immediately. Farmers must now acquire replacement feed from the Midwest and compensate diesel premium charges to haul it across the Rockies. This constitutes a 5 to 8% elevation in milk and meat costs in Northern California. You're compensating for this termination every occasion you acquire groceries. Every gallon of milk, every pound of meat, every dairy item becomes costlier because California eliminated the brewery that manufactured the feed. The municipality of Fairfield enters a financial catastrophe. The brewery utilized 2 million gallons of water daily from Lake Berryessa, constituting 7% of the municipality's complete water utilization. The municipality constructed infrastructure around that individual patron. Fixed expenses don't vanish when the patron departs. They get redistributed to surviving consumers. Mayor Moy verified the municipality will likely need to elevate water charges. Fairfield hasn't elevated charges in 5 years, but can no longer manage to sustain the infrastructure without its primary patron. Citizens confront projected utility elevations of 15 to 20% within 12 months. That's $400 to $600 yearly added to family expenses. You're not compensating for additional water. You're compensating for vacant capacity that California's frameworks established. The municipality also forfeits $1.2 million yearly in water utility income. Property levy losses could reach $559,000 annually, depending on developments with the vacant operation. Economist Dr. Ana Suarez determined total levy losses at $10.7 million for the municipality, $8.9 million for California, and $3.3 million for the federal administration. That's merely immediate levy income. When primary tenants depart, municipalities enter collapse spirals. Income collapses, programs get eliminated, infrastructure deteriorates. Surviving enterprises observe the deterioration and depart too. The pattern accelerates until nothing persists but deserted structures and damaged finances. Fairfield's 170-acre brewery location now remains vacant. Cushman and Wakefield manages the sale. Only two purchaser organizations have demonstrated interest. The specialized brewing infrastructure is nearly impossible to convert. Municipality Administrator David Gassaway cautions vacant industrial locations rapidly transform into decay, reducing surrounding asset worth and complicating reconstruction. Even the thoroughfare designation Bush Drive remains as a perpetual reminder of what California forfeited. This isn't Fairfield's sole emergency. The Valero Benicia refinery declared termination in April 2026, eliminating another 400 individuals from employment and removing Benicia's finances of $10 million in yearly levy income. Copart transferred its headquarters. MV Transportation departed. Vallejo's education district is reducing personnel. Solano County is losing employers at an accelerating pace. Each exit renders the subsequent one simpler. Each termination standardizes the departure. When significant corporations keep departing, smaller enterprises observe and question why they're remaining. The sequence reaches far beyond Solano County. During 2024, California eliminated 8 Fortune 500 headquarters. 7 relocated to Texas. Between 2018 and 2023, San Francisco and San Jose combined forfeited 79 corporate headquarters, exceeding any alternate metropolitan region in America. Oracle departed for Austin, then Nashville. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, the corporation that essentially created Silicon Valley, relocated to Houston. Tesla transferred to Austin. Charles Schwab relocated to Texas. Palantir departed for Denver. During 2021 exclusively, California forfeited $29 billion in taxable income to alternate jurisdictions. $5.6 billion relocated to Texas. By 2025, California had eliminated over $18 billion in income from the departure. More than $2.1 billion in levy income vanished. The jurisdiction now confronts a financial shortage of $73 billion, and the Legislative Experts Department keeps adjusting the figure upward. Downtown San Francisco's office vacancy proportion reached 37% in 2024, an unprecedented record. Before the pandemic, it was 4.7%. Structures that corporations like Anheuser-Busch abandoned behind are deteriorating in worth. One downtown San Jose office development sold for $34.2 million in February 2024. That was 77% beneath what it sold for several years earlier. San Francisco office leases are 33% beneath 2019 standards, and still nobody's leasing. California's advocates assert the jurisdiction still dominates. 57 Fortune 500 corporations persist, exceeding Texas. The economy remains $4.1 trillion, but the trajectory patterns communicate the genuine narrative. Texas is expanding at 5.8% annually. California is expanding at 1.7%. Texas obtained 85,000 citizens through domestic relocation in 2023 to 2024. California forfeited 240,000. The future is relocating to jurisdictions that desire enterprises, not jurisdictions that strangle them. Governor Newsom's department blamed Trump's duty frameworks for the brewery termination. They blamed economic uncertainty. They blamed everything excluding California's levy percentages, regulations, and hostile commercial atmosphere. Meanwhile, Mayor Moy communicated the reality. Solano County forfeited significant enterprises because California functions like a dictatorship. Behaviors communicate louder than justifications. Enterprises keep departing. Anheuser-Busch invested millions in Fairfield, then deserted it because California rendered operation unattainable. They didn't desire to depart. They needed to depart. The corporation still functions a brewery in Los Angeles presently. They keep declaring they're dedicated to California functions, but how extended before they determine Los Angeles isn't worthwhile either. The corporation's earnings collapse from $2.07 billion to $1.05 billion demonstrates they're preparing for a distinct future, a future where California is not their concern anymore. When the Los Angeles brewery terminates, and it will, California will import 100% of its beer from alternate jurisdictions, a jurisdiction of 39 million individuals with zero brewing capability. That's the future Sacramento is establishing. February 22nd, 2026 approaches rapidly. The Fairfield operation terminates in 2 months. Beer manufacturing transfers to alternate jurisdictions. Costs are already elevating in expectation. By summer, when distribution networks completely adjust, Californians will compensate record costs for beer that previously was manufactured locally. The municipality will elevate water charges to manage infrastructure constructed for a patron that Sacramento forced away. Dairy operations will compensate premium costs for feed that previously was free. The 170-acre location visible from Interstate 80 will remain vacant or get demolished for storage facilities. The Budweiser signage that welcomed motorists to Fairfield for 50 years goes dark. The Clydesdales that participated in community celebrations are gone. The Christmas decoration erected on the brewery structure every holiday period will not reappear, and California persists pretending nothing is incorrect. Sacramento blames corporations for departing. They label it greed. They label it short-sighted thinking. They refuse to recognize that their frameworks render operation unattainable. They accumulate levies, regulations, mandates, and expenses, then act astonished when enterprises escape to jurisdictions that genuinely desire them. Every executive throughout America understands California's standing: steepest levies, worst regulations, most hostile administration. Corporations avoid California like a plague. The ones already present plan their departures. The ones considering expansion examine anywhere else. This is not about one brewery terminating. This is about a complete jurisdiction executing economic self-destruction through governmental framework. And the individuals compensating the cost are employees forfeiting positions, families confronting utility increases, buyers compensating more for everything, and neighborhoods observing their levy foundations collapse. The Anheuser-Busch Fairfield termination is a manifestation. The ailment is California's administration. And until that transforms, the departure persists, the positions disappear, the costs surge, the future relocates to jurisdictions that genuinely desire economic expansion. California possessed the primary brewery in the jurisdiction. 50 years of background, millions in recent investment, hundreds of quality positions, a foundation of the neighborhood. Sacramento's frameworks eliminated it anyway. That's not a corporation failing. That's an administration destroying its own economy, one enterprise at a time.